everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to my YouTube channel if this is your first time here. We have a lot of catching up to do. I'm pretty sure the last time I posted a YouTube video was like my junior year in college, so almost 2 years ago now. I'm so excited to be back. I thought we could do just like a very chill video where I get ready for the day, catch you guys up on everything happening in my life the past couple years. I also asked some questions on my Instagram to see like what you guys were interested in hearing more about, and then I compiled some other questions that I get a lot on TikTok. So let's yap away and get ready for the day. One of my favorite parts of YouTube is that I can just like share more. I feel like I'll probably end up talking about stuff on here that like I don't share elsewhere. I don't know, it just feels more intimate. But yeah, let's catch up. I'm working from home today, but I have a bunch of on-camera meetings, so I want to look a little bit more presentable. I guess I could start out talking about where I am right now. So I currently live in Washington, D.C. I technically live in Arlington, Virginia. Arlington is technically Virginia, but like I can walk to the White House from my apartment. I'll insert a photo of like what the view is from the roof of my apartment, but like it's literally like a 10-minute bus ride to get into the actual city. It's just like the Potomac River separating us. I've been living here for 6 months now, which is insane. I moved here pretty much right after I graduated college, which is another big thing we should probably talk about. I'm done with school. I feel like you can probably tell from my last few YouTube videos in college that I was just like so excited to be done. I don't know, I made some amazing memories in college and I met so many amazing people, but I was so excited for post-grad life, and for a reason I feel like I have truly been thriving ever since I got my degree. But yeah, I graduated like mid-May. That was so fun. I actually ended up doing a virtual semester for my last semester of school, so like the spring of my 4th year I didn't live on campus. At that point I pretty much was already done with my degree. I just had like these random electives that I had to take. I also was just never on my campus. Like I always was traveling. It just like didn't really make sense for me to live on campus anymore when I could just like live back and forth between my parents' place in Charleston and Jay's place in Richmond, Virginia, which is where he lived last year. So that's what we did. Honestly, best decision ever. So good for my mental health. But in May I came back to Charlottesville for the graduation, and it was so fun. It actually rained on our graduation day, not just a little sprinkle. It was like downpouring. I wore these heels and then I had to like take them off as I was walking down the lawn. So I literally like walked barefoot at my graduation because the backs of the heels kept getting stuck in the mud. And then my friends and I had to sit with like a trash bag over our heads as like an umbrella tarp situation when they were doing the speeches outside. I don't know, it's like a big tradition at UVA to like walk down the lawn with your balloon that you pick out. Even though it was downpouring, no one wanted to like give that up. So that happened. And then I think like a week and a half or like a couple weeks later, wow, this concealer is like fully out. There's like nothing left in this. But like 2 weeks after that, I went on such an exciting post-grad trip. My friend Massey and I, who I feel like you guys on YouTube know so well because she was my cabin mate on semester at sea. We ended up going to Australia, and then on the way there, we went to Hawaii and San Francisco. Literally a dream trip. Especially Australia and Hawaii have always been like on my bucket list to go to. So it just was like an amazing way for us to celebrate graduating school and entering the next chapter in our lives. We got to go like snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef. We surfed for the first time in Hawaii, and we took like a lesson, which ended up being really funny because we looked like little kids in the outfits that they put us in. We got to feed kangaroos, went to the opera house. Literally the day after that trip was done, I was starting my big girl job, like my first corporate job, which is where I'm working right now. And on the way back from that trip, our flight from one city in Australia, which is called Cairns, that flight to Sydney got canceled. Like we fully got on the plane and then they told us to get off. And they were like, yeah, actually this flight is not happening today. That is a whole story in and of itself. Basically, we ended up getting a last minute hotel that was haunted, and then there was no other hotels for us to go to, so we literally slept on the airport floor. And then we couldn't even get on a flight to Sydney, which is where our layover was. That's where our next flight was going out of to get on our next flights home. So instead of going to Sydney, we took a flight from Cairns to Newcastle, which is literally like 2-3 hours away from Sydney. We took a flight there, and then we took an Uber from Newcastle to Sydney. But basically like that driver like got us in the car, put our luggage in his trunk, starts driving away, locks the doors, and then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, actually I don't think I want to do this trip it's just too long. It's too far away from my house. And we're like, sir, we are in the middle of Australia right now. We just want to go home. Basically, he was trying to get us to pay him in cash and like cancel the trip from the Uber app, which if anyone ever asks you to do that, especially as like a young female, if you're ever alone, never do that. Like always keep the trip in the app, because if anything does go wrong, at least you have a way of like tracking where you are. But anyways, we ended up doing the trip in the app. We got to Sydney, we took our flights home, and then like less than 12 hours later, I was doing my orientation for my job. I kind of left out another era of my life. Basically, the company that I work at now, I interned for the summer in between my junior and senior year of college, and it's a PR agency, so I work in advertising. But that internship was hybrid, and I only had to be in the office 1 day a week. It was based in New York. It just worked out where I couldn't move to New York that summer, so I was like, what if I just lived at home with my parents for the summer in Charleston and just commuted by plane into that office 1 day a week when I had to be there? Because the flights were like less than $100, you guys. Like, I truly did not think this was an insane decision, but the entire internet was so confused. Basically, I posted like one TikTok about it on my first day, and it really took off. And then like less than 2 days later, it ended up in the news. I ended up on like Good Morning America, NBC, CNN. I actually wrote an article for CNN about the commute. People were just really interested in how it was cheaper for me to fly to work rather than like getting an apartment in New York. It was just like a big cost of living story. So yeah, that was a really interesting era in my life when it went viral for taking a plane to my internship. I think that's how a majority of people found me online, especially on TikTok. And that's kind of why I was only really posting on TikTok for so long, because like that's where the videos took off. And I kind of wish I had kept posting like across other platforms in retrospect, but I'm excited to like diversify now and be back on YouTube. I also am posting on Instagram consistently now, so go follow me on there. I also forgot to mention that I live with Jay now. We've been living together for the past 6 months. This is like our first home together, our first apartment together, and it's been so surreal. Like, I love living with him. I love our life together. Not to be sappy, but like getting to build a home with your person is just like the best thing in the entire world. But yeah, I guess we can get into the questions now that I'm like almost done getting ready. Someone asked on Instagram like what the transition was like from being an intern at my agency to being like a full-time employee, and I'm so glad they asked this, because I felt like when I was going through that transition, I honestly found it a lot more difficult than I was expecting, and I wasn't really able to find like that much advice online about it. Every internship program is so different, but I feel like it's safe to say that like anyone who transitions from being an intern to a full-time employee is gonna see some level of like increase in responsibility. I felt like my main role as an intern was just to observe and like learn as much as possible. My company did a great job of giving us projects and like making sure that we still were involved and like contributing to the teams we were a part of, but we were interns. Like, we weren't gonna be a crucial team member. So I think honestly at first, one of like the pros and the cons of becoming a full-time employee was just becoming a lot more needed. I think I experienced like a lot of imposter syndrome at first, especially because I started like right after college. I don't know, it felt weird at first to work with people who were so good at their job, literally had like decades of experience in this field, just were so inspiring. And then knowing that like I literally just graduated college, this is my first job out of college, I'm still learning so much. I don't know, it kind of was like a little bit of an ego trip, if that makes any sense. I think in college, like, you're learning from your professors and everything, but for the most part you're surrounded by your peers. So I think it was just interesting joining a team where I was like the most inexperienced person, the youngest person, but I kind of learned to embrace that. There's a quote that I love that's like, you benefit the most when you're the dumbest person in the room. When you're surrounded by people who know more than you, who have more experience than you are going to benefit so much, and they're gonna mentor you so much. And I feel like I just try to lean into that as much as possible, even when I have moments now, like 6+ months into this job, where I realize that I still have so much to learn. I think it's normal to experience some level of like imposter syndrome, I guess, in your first job, but just remind yourself that like it's so hard to get hired in any industry nowadays. Like, they I hired you for a reason. You are capable. You're meant to be there. Everyone starts somewhere. Like, no one is going to start out knowing every little thing about a job. Yes, college prepares you for your first job, especially if your major was related to like the industry you went into. But honestly, I feel like a majority of jobs you just learn as you go. So like, especially in the first 3 months, just obviously apply yourself, put your best foot forward, but like, don't be so hard on yourself. Everything gets easier with time. Ooh, someone asked, what is my favorite lip gloss right now? I am an e.l.f. girl through and through. I definitely have gotten more into high-end makeup recently, but like at my core, I feel like drugstore makeup is sometimes superior, especially with lip products. I feel like I lose them all the time. So this e.l.f. lip plumping gloss, not me doing the beauty guru hand. I have this in the shade Sparkling Rosé, I think. It's so good. It's such a good dupe for, I think it's the Too Faced Lip Injections one that just like makes your lips a little bit bigger. It doesn't burn that much, but I feel like it does actually plump my lips. I'm gonna put some on right now, actually. I feel like e.l.f. is just the queen of making affordable dupes of high-end products. Like, I use their primer. You saw me use this at the beginning. It's such a good dupe for the Milk one. I also have gotten asked a lot on TikTok like why I prefer living in Arlington over DC, or like why we chose to live in Arlington. I think the main reason, honestly, is just the building we live in. I love our building so much. It has such amazing amenities, and also I feel like they just made really good use of this space. It's only like a 600 square foot apartment, I'm pretty sure. I forget the exact number, but like I have a dedicated space for my office. I feel like there's a pretty good amount of storage. A lot of people say that Arlington is more affordable than DC, and I honestly kind of disagree with that, because when we were looking like at buildings in Arlington and DC, they were pretty much around the same price. The one thing I will say though is that Arlington has newer buildings, and they tend to have buildings with like better amenities. Parking is usually cheaper, so that is one expense that I feel like is really nice to cut down on. Like, for example, at a lot of buildings we were looking at in DC, it was like $300, $400 a month just for one car, and right now Jay and I pay about $150. But I feel like in general, like at the grocery store, eating out for dinner, workout class memberships, all those types of things, like it's a very expensive city, so I wouldn't say it's like a lot more affordable than DC. I do really like how Arlington just in general has a more like chill and safe vibe than DC. I think like at my core, I am not like a super big city person, and I kind of need some level of like tranquility in my neighborhood. We live in a city now, but like it's not so insane and jam-packed where we're like living on top of a restaurant, if that makes sense. Like, we're still able to walk to the grocery store. DC is literally like a 10-minute, less than that metro ride away, but just overall the vibe is like a little bit more peaceful. There's still nightlife and like a million restaurants, a million shops. You will see people literally walking everywhere. Like, it's still very much a city, but I feel like it's a good post-grad city, like first starting out after college. Also, in general, like the people here are very much like young working professionals. The average age range is probably like 20s to 30s. I'm like pretty much done with my makeup right now, but I'm just gonna keep yapping away because there was a few more questions I wanted to answer. Oh, someone asked on TikTok for me to talk about like what the first 6 months of Jay and I living together was like. Like I said, I love living together. I feel like the first 6 months went very well for us. I feel like we also were kind of living together before we were living together, if that makes any sense. Like, during that last semester of college when I was fully remote, I would stay with him for like sometimes 3 weeks at a time. So we were definitely like ready to move in together. I felt like we talked about the logistics of living together a lot, like finances, chores, like the nitty-gritty things like that. I feel like we covered beforehand, so I think that's something that helped a lot, and probably would suggest to like anyone who decides to live with their partner, just like make sure you're both on the same page with those things before you actually take that first step. Sometimes I get questions on like, well, if you live together, like why is he never in your videos? But for one, I love keeping a majority of our relationship offline. I feel like I share so much of my life as is that I like to keep certain parts of it private. Our relationship is the most important thing in my life. He's the most important thing in my life. So I think it's just nice to have our time together be completely present. Like, I never want us to have a cute moment or like we do something cute for each other. I never want to be worried about like, oh man, I didn't get a photo of that, or like I didn't get a video of that, I didn't post about that. I like watching couple content. I think it's cute, and I think couples do it really well and tastefully sometimes, but like I just feel like I would feel pressure to share everything, and I kind of want to like protect our time together and keep it as present as possible. Also, one of the reasons you don't really like see him or hear him in the background during my morning vlogs or night vlogs is because we actually work complete opposite schedules right now. He works night shift, so he works from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. Sunday through Wednesday, and then I work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. So like the only time during the week where both both of us are off and like awake is Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. So like when you see me like cooking dinner or like in the morning by myself, like that's because he's either at work or asleep. He's in the process actually trying to find like another job that would have a schedule that's similar to mine so that we don't work on complete opposite schedules anymore. But yeah, obviously not ideal to work complete opposite shifts as your partner, but also Jay and I have always had the mindset that like there's no obstacle or like challenge too big for us. I feel like it's made the time that we do spend together during the week extra special and like we're extra present during those times. And also given that like I just graduated college, this is my first time being like fully moved away from my family, because in college I would come home for breaks and stuff. I feel like because our shifts are different, I spend like a lot of time by myself now, and that's something that I wasn't like super comfortable with before. So I think it's been like a good growth opportunity for me, and just a good reminder that like no matter how serious you are with a person, it's good to maintain your independence, spend time with yourself, prioritize self-care, and all the things. I'd say one of like my most common asked questions on TikTok is how I find the motivation to like do things before and after work, because I always post like my 6 to 9 before my 9 to 5 or like my 6 to 9 after my 9 to 5. Do not get me wrong, like I do not share every single day. There are days where I literally roll out of bed, wash my face, brush my teeth, and just log on for the day. So just remember that I give myself breaks and rest when I need it. But I think one thing that's helped me, I guess, just like manage doing social media on the side and like prioritizing time with friends, family, traveling while also working a full-time job in like a very busy industry, is just remembering that like I deserve to have a life outside of work and everyone deserves that. It takes a lot of work, honestly, to like build a life for yourself outside of work, especially when you're first getting started out. I remember like the first day of my full-time job, I came home from work and I was like, how am I gonna do this every single day until I'm 60? Because like it just felt like the entire day was taken up by work. And I think the 9 to 5 schedule is something that you just have to adjust to with time. But one thing that helps me mentally just have clarity with the fact that 40 hours of my week are dedicated to my job, just like pushing myself to do things before and after work, whether it's literally just going to a workout class or like going on a walk with a friend, filming a little TikTok, like having something to dedicate myself to other than my job just gives me peace of mind. I think that's where that motivation comes from for me to not just like rot on my couch after work, which does happen, do not get me wrong, but like not every single day. Ooh, someone asked, do you have any fun trips planned? I actually am going to Dallas this weekend. I'm so excited. I'm gonna be visiting my friend Megan from Semester at Sea who lives there, and a bunch of our friends from Semester at Sea are gonna be there as well. We're gonna be celebrating her and Maddie's birthday, so that'll be really fun. I've actually never been to Dallas. I've been to Austin in Texas, but never Dallas, so I'm really excited. I'm flying out like Friday night, and I definitely want to vlog that trip on YouTube, so stay tuned for that. I'm also going on a trip with Jay for our 3-year anniversary in March. We're going to the Cayman Islands. I'm so excited. I feel like especially now with like how intense winter has been this year, I'm excited for some warm weather, and that's coming up in like a little over a month, so very excited for that. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do for this summer. Maybe I'll go to Europe. I feel like I haven't been there. I haven't been there since Semester at Sea actually, so that would be really fun. But yeah, those are just like a couple trips I have planned. I've been talking for a while, so I think I'm gonna end up ending the video here. But if you guys have any suggestions for like content you want to see now that I'm back on YouTube, please let me know. And also be sure to follow me on my other socials, which are TikTok and Instagram. I post on both of those pretty much every day, so if you want some more content from me, head over there. But yeah, I'm so excited to be back, you guys. Thank you for watching if you made it until the end of the video. I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye!